We're on a dual sport camping trip at the north rim of the Grand Canyon. Right now I'm at the Grand Canyon Lodge. Let's go in and take a look around. So the plan for today is to do a waypoint or a viewpoint, probably like Cape Royal or something like that, and do one viewpoint here at the lodge and get to a campsite and hopefully camp on the rim. So this viewpoint is pretty cool. It's right across from the lodge. What I like about the North Rim is it's a lot less populous. The views are, as you can see, are every bit as spectacular as the South Rim. And just to the north of the park is Kaibab National Forest, and you can camp dispersed up there. There's also some established campgrounds, but where I'm hoping to get to, you can camp right on the rim. It's not this rim, but it's like it's a place called Coxcombs. It's a pretty spectacular view. They're probably not going to let you get on a area like this, but hopefully we can find a good spot. We'll jump on the bike and run back towards Kaibab, hit Cape Royal, and show you that viewpoint, and then go find a campsite. Let's see if we can get out of here without running anybody over. This is where we break off for Cape Royal. It is sprinkling. Doesn't bode well for dry accommodations tonight. All right, so we're at Cape Royal. Got a little bit of a hike to get us out there and a little thunderstorm to greet us. This is just a little cutout on the trail. I believe that's Cape Royal right over there. Yeah, it's just a short little hike. I don't even think it's a half mile or something like that. And it's just sprinkling so far. Just enough to keep you cool. Look at that. So we're going to walk right out on that ridge. If you look down, there's a window in that ridge. It's not called an arch, I believe it's called a window. You can see right through it. So hopefully it won't collapse with all my weight on it. There's just some amazing views from the North Rim. It's worth the extra, I don't know, hour and a half to get up here. Just such a more pleasant, less congested experience. So it's my mistake. The outcropping with a window in it is called Angel's Window, and that's the outcropping. Cape Royal is to the other side, and we'll trundle out there after we do this. So this is the very point of Angel's Window. I don't want to stay out here too long in an electrical storm, so I'll give you guys a little panorama and then we'll start hiking back. Okay, let's take a stop by Cape Royal. I know I've mentioned Cape Royal about 57,000 times, but that was my intent, was to get over there. So, next one. Figures I get out here and it's pouring in the canyon too, so it's got an occluded view, but let's see what the camera can pick up. Love all these little pines that hang onto the edge. Some of the cool things that you get to see in the canyon is these little walls of rock that just remain there after all the erosion. This thing just kind of takes a big sweep around. On the other side of the rim, you might be able to see three mountains, one large one in the middle. That is San Francisco Peaks over there. And we're looking across at the south rim. Okay, let's go see if we can find a place to camp for the night. Well, we got about a 15-mile drive back to the main park road, and then it's about 20 miles to the forest road in Kaibab that I need to get to. Well, you guys saw this road on the way in. I will catch you at the turnoff for the forest road. I'll take a look to our left. Coming around this corner, all those brown bumps out there are bison, buffalo, tasty animals. Here we go, off into the forest. All right, finally some dirt. First dirt of the day. This will take us out to the rim. The sky looks much more promising than it did before. Remember the first time I came up here on the V-Strom, I was all nervous. I didn't know if you could camp up here or you needed a permit or something. To the best of my knowledge, I don't believe you need any permit. Just national forest, and as long as you're not carving out a whole new fire ring and camp spot and everything, you're usually pretty good to go. Nope, not close enough. Now someone's got the spot I had before. Guess this one will do. Well, like the Rolling Stones said, sometimes you can't get what you want, but you can get what you need, and or something like that. So I couldn't get the spot I wanted. You can really get your tent right close to the edge and get a nice view there, but this one's not too bad. You're right on the rim, but there's trees blocking the way, stinking trees. Luckily, I have a selfie stick that can get you guys up, get you a good view, and those linear bumps that kind of go off to the right in a diagonal, those are what's called the coxcombs. And this is, you are looking at the Grand Canyon, you're just not looking at the most spectacular part of the Grand Canyon. But those are called the coxcombs because they resemble the comb on the top of a rooster. Alright, so I'm gonna get set up here. Looks like a reasonably level site. And I don't know if we'll have a campfire or not. I don't really like doing that too much because I don't have enough water to put it out. I like to really drown it. And actually it's kind of damp here, and I'm not certain I can get something going, but we're gonna get the tent up and get camping here quick. Well, I went for a little bit more, I guess you call it privacy than view. I could have stuffed myself right next to the road and had a little bit better view, but at least I'm about half, 3/4 of a mile that way from the next campsite, and I'm about 2 miles, 3 miles that way from the next campsite. So unless they're really being obnoxious, I shouldn't have to deal with hearing anybody. And this is a offshoot forest road, so there shouldn't be a ton of traffic coming back and forth either. I wonder if we can get a little closer if it drops dramatically off here. Yeah, I wouldn't want to slide because it goes vertical pretty quick. I think right where that log is about as far as you want to take your chances. Yeah. Can't beat the view. Very pretty. Well, I really got to say I like the North Rim. It's just the South Rim is just so overrun with people, especially in the summertime. And you know, it is one of the 7 wonders of the world, or whatever it is. And it attracts quite a few people, but It's difficult to get into on a motorcycle. It's stop and go traffic. Your bike's going to overheat. There's no real place to camp close by. Definitely can't camp right next to the canyon anywhere down there that I know of. But while there are people up here, it is definitely by thousandfold less people, and there's less traffic. You can drive at a reasonable pace. When I came in this afternoon, at the gate there was one person in front of me, and you know, you could stop if you wanted to. There's bison. They've been repopulating bison into the national park, and you could actually stop, get out, and wave to the bison if you wanted to. Even down at the main lodge, that's at the very end. If you look at the Grand Canyon National Park North Rim, it's kind of like on this island, not island, but peninsula that hangs out into the Grand Canyon, and it's at the very tip of that, and it's got restaurants and cabins and all kinds of stuff, and you can move around there. You could get into the restaurant if you wanted to. The little ubiquitous gift shop, you could walk in there and get in and out. You could walk on the paths and trails. The lookouts, the two lookouts that I went to, really, you know, there was a few people there, and of course you're going to run into some moron. There was the last view vista was Cape Royal, and I'm standing there trying to just do a quick 3-minute little blog, if you will, vlog, if you will, kind of thing, and this guy comes running behind me, whips up his camera and starts taking pictures 4 inches from me. Mind you, this thing's, you know, 100 yards long. There's view all the way around, but he had to run up there, take his pictures, and then ran back up the trail. And as I turned back around, I was done with my stuff. I turned back around and walked up the trail, and in front of me you could see him running back and forth from side to side taking his pictures. I don't know that would be the best way for me to take a vacation, but you know, and of course, you know, empty parking lots, you know, someone's got to pull up right next to you. I don't know what, there must be something in the human psyche that, you know, if there's an open ocean, someone's got to drive their boat right up next to yours. Who knows? But like I said, it's much better up here. And if you go earlier in the day, I've been here actually on holiday weekends, and it hasn't been terrible bad. It is tough to get a good camp spot, but there is plenty of dispersed camping throughout that, you know, you could enjoy. That would be just forest. That is, in any other place you would love it. You would actually love it. But and what I like about this forest versus like Coconino is there's so many different kinds of pine trees, spruce, and as you're riding through, when you ride through Coconino, you get that pine smell, you get that bonanza pine smell. When you ride through here, especially today when it was sprinkling and raining on and off, it just, that intense spruce pine forest smell was just incredible. No air freshener could work better than that. So good place to come. Definitely check it out if you're in Arizona. If you've been to the south rim of the Grand Canyon, I recommend to go there at least once to see it. However, if you've been there or if you've got an extended period of time, I would recommend coming up to the north rim. Worth the trip. It's about 1.5 to 2 hours to get up here, further than the Grand Canyon. adventure getting here today. Ran through a couple of real good thunderstorms, which luckily you're moving, and we don't have like all day horrifying thunderstorms. So it was probably about 15-20 minutes riding through it. But rain doesn't bother me. It's the thunder and lightning that gets zapped. That would not be fun. But I had stopped by Navajo Bridge. Navajo Bridge crosses the Colorado River, and it allows you to get from Arizona to Utah. And the old bridge that was built in the 20s replaced Lee's Ferry, which was an actual ferry that took you across. When Lee's Ferry sunk, there was no way to get from Arizona to Utah except for a 800-mile trip. And anyhow, I wanted to stop by and see the bridge, because you can walk across it now because it's decommissioned. And there's a little visitor center and stuff like that. So I stopped there, and there's the sheriff's department there, probably about 5 deputies, vehicles, and they were recovering a body. And he looked over. Apparently it doesn't look like he jumped. I don't think he jumped. He looked like he was on one end of the bridge, maybe crossed over the barrier, wanted to look and see what was over the side, maybe take a picture, take a selfie, who knows. But he was about 200 feet down on a ledge, DRT, dead right there. I mean, he took a pretty good fall, and the recovery team was there picking up the mess. So kind of a bummer, especially for him, but that's too bad. And anyway, I got to see, you got to walk out halfway across the bridge and look and stuff like that at the river, and got a couple of good pics and stuff. But it was a nice stop. Anyway, aside from the dead body halfway down the canyon. Feels like they've been getting a pretty good amount of rain up here. The ground's really soft. Usually it's dusty and hard. I looked at the radar. I actually have cell service here, which is amazing. I was just at the there's like I guess you'd call it a general store, convenience store, gas station. There's a couple of them out by the ones right outside the park in Kaibab, and then there's one called Jacob's Lake. There's a gas station, service station, and they call it Jacob Lake Inn. I think it's just a restaurant. That's further up, but I was at the gas station just outside the park, and there was no service there, so kind of amazing. That was closer to the national park, and I would have thought that would have been a better place to get service than it is way out here. So very fortunate. Got some internet service. Could make a few phone calls, call the wife, let her know where I am, and worked out pretty well. Well, so far no mosquitoes. Bunch of flies. I've misplaced my DEET. I know I put it in somewhere, someplace, somehow, but I don't feel like opening the dry bags again. And it's been sprinkling a little bit here, nothing, no big deal, 3 or 4 drops. but I don't want to have them open if there's going to be a downpour. I'll just dive in the tent and wait it out. But the bags were, I think I've got myself down to a pretty good camping kit. It's pretty light. The bags aren't completely full. The bike doesn't feel weighed down at all, and I don't even have it on. Last time I rode, I had on full load, which makes it really stiff. I've got it on sport right now, which is a little bit down. It's the second highest stiffness that you can go with, and it seemed to work out pretty, handled very well, pavement and the little bit of dirt that I did today. So pretty happy with what I've got, and I've got it all, seems to be sorted per bag pretty well, so makes it a lot easier. It's been many years in the making. Crepe sakes, the first big bike ride I took was probably 2010 or so on the KLR, and then the of course the V-Strom after that. But yeah, I can probably pull together a trip within a couple of days, get everything on the bike ready to go out the door pretty easily now. And then once I get home, everything comes off, a couple things get washed, bags go on a shelf, and waiting for the next time I go for a ride. All right, guys, it is about 8 o'clock, just before 8 o'clock. I think I'm going to get stuff packed up here, make sure everything's weather tight and ready for darkness. So I'm going to go hide my food somewhere and hit the tent and see you guys in the morning. Sunrise over the Grand Canyon. Can't beat that. Getting packed up and had a little bit of breakfast and changed up and everything, so we should be on the way shortly. All right, one last look. We are on our way. Glad to report there was no major storm last night. It all bypassed us. Had a few little sprinkles. Nice restful night. Gonna head out of the forest here. Hopefully have a nice safe ride today. I appreciate you watching. Please comment, subscribe, like and share. Adios.